What's going on, everybody? Today we're exploring West Texas, a beautiful region and one of the more underrated states in the country. When you think of a road trip, you probably think of Utah's Mighty 5, California's Coastal Highway 1, or the Blue Ridge Parkway. But today I'm going to share an extremely underrated road trip in Texas that can be done in 5 to 10 days. But before we start, it'd mean the world to me if you could give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to help support the production of these travel guides. This video is going to be the ultimate West Texas road trip guide and showcase my top 5 places to visit in West Texas, so let's dive right in. This video will be a mixture of an exact road trip itinerary that you can follow, mixed with just a list of my favorite places to visit in this part of Texas, in case you're not road tripping and just want to add 1 or 2 destinations to your bucket list. But here's the map we'll be following for the road trip. First up is going to be a very underrated national park, and that is Big Bend, right on the southern border of Texas and Mexico, divided only by canyon walls and the Rio Grande River. Big Bend is a very remote national park. It's not as accessible as other parks, and there isn't really a big airport hub close to here, which reflects in its annual visitors. In 2021, the park had under 600,000 visitors, compared to 12 million visitors at the most popular national park, the Great Smoky Mountains. However, I like this because it means you have more of the park to yourself, and the crowds are smaller here. It can get really hot here in the summer, so in my opinion, this is a great trip to do in the fall or spring. But the number one thing you're going to want to do here is hike or kayak the Santa Elena Canyon Trail. If you hike it, it's a 1.6 mile trail with 200 feet of elevation gain. The park has over 100 miles of paved roads, making this the perfect place for a scenic drive, and other places to visit while going through the park include the Dorgan Sublet Trail, Goat Mountain Overlook, Mule Ears Viewpoint, and Sodal Vista for a beautiful sunset. And the best towns for a hotel here are Alpine and Marathon, and then there's also a handful of camping options. You can visit Big Bend in one day, but if you really want to take it all in, this is probably a good place to spend 2 days at. Our next spot on this trip is a 3-hour and 45-minute drive from Big Bend, so at number 2 we have Guadalupe Mountains National Park, home to the tallest peak in the entire state. Guadalupe Peak stands tall at 8,751 feet above sea level, and in my opinion, this is a hike you don't want to miss. I think it's one of the main draws of the entire park. To climb this mountain, it'll be an 8.1 mile round trip hike with roughly 3,000 feet of elevation gain. You definitely need to make sure to pack enough water for this hike because a lot of the hike is exposed and in the sun, and the desert heat can be really strong here. Once you make it to the top, you can see for what feels like forever. It's a beautiful view, and you also get great views of the nearby mountain called El Cap, a unique shaped peak that makes for some great photos. The best town for a hotel to visit this park is going to be Carlsbad, which is actually in New Mexico, 45 minutes north of the park. And while you're here, if you have time, you should definitely check out Carlsbad Caverns. It's home to some of the coolest caves I've ever explored. But if you're just visiting Guadalupe Mountains, this is the perfect place to just spend one day at if you're hiking the peak. And then after hiking the tallest mountain in Texas, we have a 2-hour and 15-minute drive to our third destination, Monahans Sandhills State Park, which is just 5 to 10 minutes from the town of Monahans, so that's going to be your best option for a hotel, or you can camp inside the state park for $15 per night or $105 per week. I never knew that Texas had sand dunes, so this was definitely a fun surprise. The sandhills are beautiful and seem to go on for miles. This is also a great place to visit with the family and kids. After paying $4 per person to enter the park, you can visit the visitor center and rent a small disc to go sledding on the sand dunes. This is such a fun activity, and the rangers were so nice. They have a dump box to put the disc in after using it, which was really nice because the visitor center closed before sunset when we visited. The rangers also allowed us to fly a drone, although I should mention it was limited to a certain area of the park to not disturb other visitors and the campgrounds, and if you're going to fly, definitely make sure to talk to the rangers first. Really quick, I want to mention that amongst my travel guides and top 10s on my channel, I actually have a video on the top 10 road trips to do in the USA. This West Texas video is only one of 10 road trips that are featured in that video, so make sure to check that one out if you like this video. But after exploring West Texas's sand dunes, we're heading to Palo Duro Canyon State Park, which is a 4-hour drive north between the two places. This park blew us away. It felt like we were in Utah or Arizona. I didn't know that Texas had landscapes like this. We spent 2 days here, and there's 2 trails that I want to go over as they were our favorites and definitely the best places to visit in the park. The first is Palo Duro Caves, which seems lesser known because we saw only one other group on this trail, and we visited in the middle of the day when we expected it to be pretty busy, so that was a really nice surprise. This trail is just under 1 mile round trip, trip with 80 feet of elevation gain, and the trail wasn't really marked that great in certain places, so I'd recommend downloading offline trail maps before doing this hike. We found 2 different caves, one being much larger than the other. I think there's more, but these 2 were the only ones we saw next to the obvious trail. And the second hike you have to do in the park is my favorite place here, and that is the Lighthouse Trail. This is a 5.9 mile round trip hike with roughly 530 feet of elevation gain. The hike is beautiful, but the main event here is at the very end of the hike. The lighthouse is a 310 foot tall rock tower that comes right out of the bottom of the 800 foot deep canyon. To visit Palo Duro Canyon, the best town for a hotel is 30 minutes north in Amarillo. And this actually takes us to our last destination in the video, because for number 5 we're exploring Amarillo, Texas. There's a few things you'll want to do here. The first thing, and my favorite, is Cadillac Ranch, which is a public art installation and sculpture. It's free to visit, and this has to be one of the more unique roadside attractions I've ever been to. There's also cans of spray paint laying around, where visitors seem to continue to spray paint the cars, making the art installation one that constantly evolves. And this is actually situated on the old Route 66, which is a drive with a ton of history. So after driving Route 66 and visiting Cadillac Ranch, it's time to head to Main Street to explore downtown Amarillo. And our favorite coffee shop here was the 806 Coffee Lounge. It also wouldn't be a trip to Amarillo without going to the Big Texan Ranch, which is home to the 72-ounce steak challenge. And if you take on the challenge, they put you up on a stage and you have 1 hour to finish the steak, but you can't leave the table or stand up, and if you don't finish the steak, you have to pay the full price. I was a little too nervous to try this, but we ended up just ordering other steaks on the menu at our table, and this place was so good. And before we wrap up this video, I'd like to add a bonus location to this list. If you road trip this list in order, you would actually visit it between locations 2 and 3, but for our bonus location for number 6, we have Balmorhea State Park. This is a 46-acre park, perfect for a relaxing picnic day at the water. There's picnic tables, playgrounds and swings, barbecue grills, and a beautiful lake to take in the views at. And you can't visit this spot without swimming in the 25-foot deep San Solomon Springs, a small hidden gem in Oasis tucked away here. And definitely don't forget to take a jump off the diving board. That's going to wrap up this travel guide. I really hope you enjoyed it and got a few ideas for your next road trip. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I have hundreds of videos on the channel ranging from travel guides, top 10s, to hiking and travel vlogs from across the globe. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you later.